My name is Job Sindagala. I'm 19 years old. I've been reselling on eBay for 2 years now. And I started my entrepreneur journey when I was just a junior in high school. And this is my story. Honestly, if I show you where I am now, you'll see that I've kind of come a long way. So this is a 3,000 square foot warehouse, and these are all the items that I have. I have about a 4,000 item store. At the peak, I've had a 6,500 item eBay store, and I've literally just been grinding. Lots of stuff has happened in my life, if I'm being honest. In literally 2 years, I've moved three different houses, three different cars, just a lot of stuff. And I'm 19 years old. So let me share my story. So honestly, what happened was I used to play basketball. I played a lot of basketball. And simply, I was on my JV basketball team. I wasn't the best basketball player, but I was a hard worker. I'd wake up at 5. I'd go to the gym as much as I possibly can, and I would do everything to try to be the best basketball player I could. But I honestly struggled with eating. I was like gaining weight, all of that stuff. I had the skill set, but I didn't have the body, the frame, and the mentality to fulfill my desires. So, not taking shots during the game, not believing in myself, all of that stuff. That's what happened. And I played basketball all of my life. And if I go way back, I went to a private school from first grade all the way to eighth grade. In kindergarten, I did public school, but from first all the way to eighth, I did private school. And at that private school, I was the best basketball player, the best football player, just the best. Like, that's just how, it was for me when, first through eighth grade. So my whole life, I was just had the mentality of I was chosen to do something. I'm the best that there possibly is. If I want to accomplish something, I'm going to accomplish it. I always had the feeling that I was put on the earth for a reason. There was something for me to accomplish. And I always had that confidence. Even when, first through eighth, I went to a private school and I went to a public school and I really got humbled. Like, basketball players better than me. Um, just the whole nine. Just everybody was better than me at basketball. I wasn't the best prospect. I wasn't that guy anymore, right? And even then, when I was still in high school, I still just felt like this is just my journey. I'm going to be the best. I still am the best person out there, and I'm going to be that guy. I always felt that way. I always felt compelled. I always felt like I was just chosen. I don't want to be sound crazy, but I just always felt like I was chosen. That's just how my mental state was. And so from my freshman year to my sophomore year playing basketball, then I went to Uganda my sophomore year. And when I went to Uganda, I saw all the poverty. I saw, just a bunch of stuff. I just saw it completely changed my mind to see this perspective of living. And so I come back and my mom tells me I need to pay insurance for my car. And I couldn't afford to pay insurance. And she said, I saw your friend going to the Goodwill bins, talk to him, see if he'll help you make some money, right? I'm doing Running Start at this time. So Running Start is where you take college classes, although you're in high school. So I had one high school class in the morning and the rest were just all online. So what I did is I was like, okay, I need to build myself a schedule. And I can't really recall how my schedule would really go, but essentially, I would wake up, I'd go to my brother's house, eat breakfast. No, I'd go to school, go to my brother's house, eat breakfast, and then go to the bins and, just spend the rest of the day with my friend who was selling clothes. And, he started showing me how to do everything. He started showing me how to ship, how to get items, this, that, and the third. And I just kept on showing up day after day after day after day after day, right? And my friend showed me how to do everything. And then eventually my friend let me go off on my own, right? He wasn't there holding my hand all the time. And I just continued to grind. I continued to get after it. I just continued to try to be the best version of myself. But I was still playing basketball at the same time. So the basketball season starts in November. And I was playing basketball. I was on my JV basketball team. And I was a junior in high school. I was on my JV basketball team. And then I just kept on playing. I kept on playing. And then I got moved up to varsity practice squad. And this was around February. And I would basically wake up as early as possible, go I would wake up, go to school. From school, I would go to the bins. From the bins, I would go to the warehouse, take pictures, ship, and then I would go to basketball practice. Then I'd come back and list and do my homework. So oftentimes I was up from like um 9 a.m. and I'd go to sleep at 1 a.m., right? And I would get 8 hours of sleep in between there, and I'd be late to school and everything like that. So I just quit playing basketball. I decided I was done playing basketball. And then the next day, I continued on with my same schedule. But then after the first or second week, I started to tweak things. I decided, let me wake up as early as possible and sleep as early as possible. So I started waking up at 5 a.m., right? I'd go straight to the warehouse, take pictures. Then I would go to school, and then I would go to the bins. Then from the bins, I would go back to the warehouse, and then I would list and ship items, take my shipments to USPS, come back, do my listings, then do my homework, and um, I'd be back home by 9 p.m. Then I started tweaking it more and more, and then I started going to the gym by 5 p.m. and then going back home by 7 p.m. and I started cooking for myself, cleaning for myself. And at this time, I'm staying with my friend. I no longer stay with my mom. I was 17 years old and I'm staying with my friend. So at 17 years old, I basically quit playing basketball, started my business, and moved out, and I was living on my own. So I just tried to create the best schedule that I possibly could. That way I can cook and clean and have a good lifestyle, and I can get as much work done as I possibly could. And that's what I started doing my junior year of high school. And I continued to do that for the rest of that year. And then in July, I moved out of me and my friend were staying in, a very nice house. It was 2 stories, but we moved out into a 1 story house. And then at that time, my friend, we were still roommates, but he wasn't staying at the house as much. So I basically lived by myself and I continued on with my schedule, waking up as early as possible, working 5 a.m. to 5 p.m., going to the gym from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., then cooking from 7 p.m. to like 9 p.m. and being in bed by 10. And I continued to do that, for the rest of 2023, right? And then in November, I hired my first person to work with me, right? In November of 2023. And that really allowed me to propel my eBay store. There was a lot of mistakes I was making, but it allowed me to propel myself and just basically learn a lot about hiring somebody. And then in 2024, the beginning, I was sharing a warehouse with my friend, right? So through this whole entire story I've just grasped, we're gonna go back. So I was in high school. I was doing running start. I was playing basketball and I was reselling clothes. I stopped playing basketball. When I stopped playing basketball, all my focus on was my business, right? Reselling clothes, right? And finishing all my schoolwork. My friend was in high school and was doing the exact same thing as me. So he allowed me to stay in his warehouse and he allowed me to stay at his house because his dad, a long story, but basically me and him were living in that house together by ourselves. And we were both 17 years old, right? So now we just recapped all the way back there. So now coming back to 2024, my store was growing and my friend's store was growing. So I had to move out of the warehouse because, of course, it's my friend's warehouse. So for the first 2 months of 2024, I was just looking for a warehouse, trying to convince someone to allow a 19-year-old to rent a warehouse space from them. And so I faced all of those dilemmas, people telling me yes, then people telling me no, and then this, that, and the third. And then finally in March, I found this warehouse, right? And I set everything up. This is one photo station. There's a second photo station right below me. Up here's my office, right? And just set all of this stuff, had to get all of these shelves. Just had to spend a buttload of money, right? And honestly, if I budgeted a lot better, I could probably have saved a lot of money and, made a lot of better decisions. And in 2024, after that, I just started making a lot of mistakes that, essentially an intelligent person, right? Intelligence often comes from rate of learning, right? If a teacher can tell a student something and he picks it up right away, he's known as intelligent, right? But in my opinion, what true intelligence is, it is rate of learning, but it's also being able to learn without having to learn from, being able to learn without having to go through certain experiences. So basically being able to learn from others, right? So essentially the smart student, if he sees another student go up and go through 10 different trial and errors, right? And still not get the correct answer, if that student can go up, learn from all of his trial and errors, and get the answer maybe in 1 or 2 tries, then he's known as intelligent. But the kid that's not smart would go up and go through all the same trial and errors and might still not get the answer. Do you get what I'm saying? So I went through a lot of trials and errors, learning a lot of mistakes, making a lot of mistakes. Honestly, I made huge increases in revenue in 2 years, right? I went from making $0 to selling 8,000 items. In 2024, I've sold 21,000 items. So these are huge leaps, right? Obviously, as a 19-year-old, I did not know what to do with my money. Fortunately, I didn't just spend my money on cars and clothes and, stuff of that nature. I invested it all back into my business, and I made good investments, I made bad investments, and it was honestly just a learning journey. And so that has been my story. So if we recap, I was 17 years old. I was playing basketball full time. I was doing Running Start, which is college classes and high school classes, and I had no money, right? And that was 2022. In the start of 2023, I quit playing basketball and I just focused on my business. And those were the only two things I focused on. And I did that for all of 2023. And in 2024, I focused on getting a warehouse and making as much money as possible, right? And I just basically learned a lot. I hired people, fired people, just everything. And in 2025, now all I want my focus to be is making content and making, I won't say as much money as possible. My goal is to retain as much money as possible, right? So somebody can be making $30,000 a month and they can spend $25,000, right? And only make 5K. And someone can make 15K a month and only spend 10K and make 5K, right? So obviously with those two numbers, there's obviously a lot more detail that goes into it. But honestly, my goal is to retain as much money and to make good content. And that's my goal. And that is honestly my story. I went from just playing basketball, having no business knowledge, to locking in, meeting my friend, him teaching me how to do everything. And then now I'm here in my 3,000 square foot warehouse. And that is all of my inventory right here. And yeah, this is honestly my story as a 19-year-old six-figure reseller.